Alright guys, today we are in the Acura NSX. We are at Gingerman Raceway and we're doing a track test. Pretty good time. This thing is quite amazing on track. You can feel the torque vectoring doing its thing. We're in track stability mode, so we still have a little bit of assistance keeping us from getting crazy. Leaving it in automatic. It's making great gear shift changes. Missed my apex there. Initial impressions, this car is very approachable and pretty easy to drive at the limit. Control the balance of it with the throttle. The carbon ceramic brakes are holding up really well. And the power here out of corners is just amazing. Tracks really well on throttle out of a corner. Trail brake it in just a little bit. No fade so far from these carbon ceramics. They feel awesome. Bit of understeer on corner entry, but you just have to balance it. And the torque fill from the electric motor really lets you rock it out of corners. Pedal feel is great even with the brake-by-wire system. The Continental tires are holding up really well. I just did about a 15-minute session around Gingerman. This is a very tough track on brakes. No fade, no issues. The Continentals are feeling a little greasy after that, but honestly they feel pretty good. Our tire pressures are getting higher too. Might have to let some air out. This is a really fast car, and it's actually quite approachable to drive at the limit. I can really feel the torque vectoring going to work for me. There is a little bit of understeer on corner entry, but you can manage it by keeping your entry speeds pretty limited and getting a ton of acceleration out of corners. This thing rockets and rotates beautifully out of turns. Pretty awesome track car. We'll get more comfortable with it throughout the day, but yeah, just a joy. So what are your thoughts on this, Charlie?
I mean, it'd be a challenge to get through an entire review of this car without saying everyday supercar.
I know. I mean, that's really what it does best. We drove out here like, what, 200 miles?
Yep.
It was perfectly comfortable, just insanely like livable. It's great. It's really fast.
It's really fast and also incredibly approachable, but it does all that without feeling uncharismatic.
Yeah.
You know, this is still like the steering feel is not dead. It's not like you know, people give a lot of flack to the GTR, Nissan GTR, for kind of just being like a computer on the track. This really isn't that way. I mean, you feel quite a bit.
Yeah, because when you think about this car and you look at what it is, you think it's going to be this digital thing.
You're right.
But it's very engaging and very analog. I'm really surprised about the brakes, considering they're brake-by-wire and carbon ceramic. The pedal feels awesome, and you have a little bit of extra pressure that you have to give it.
Yep.
But it's nice.
I will say, yeah, it's not the analog car that some people are looking for. I mean, you're gonna want more of a Z06 or an older BMW or something like that. But it manages to really feel natural.
It is very natural.
Still feeling futuristic at the same time.
It's just such a good balance. Incredibly approachable.
Yep. Now these are the more street-friendly tires that you can get on this car. They're not the optional high-performance ones, and you can tell that they're that, but it doesn't mean you can't have a lot of fun with them. And if you're someone who's not super familiar with being on the track, you're gonna hear a little bit more of your threshold with these tires. I mean, doing this right now, you wouldn't hear tire squeal on those top level tires until you're gone.
Yeah, and these will be good rain tires too.
Oh yeah.
There's definitely a lot more understeer with them.
Yep. You just got to get on the throttle sooner.
You do, yeah.
Settle that weight back, and
this car rotates on throttle.
Yep.
Slow in, early apex, early throttle, out. But you can feel that torque vectoring going to work.
Yep.
Are phenomenal.
They really are. I wasn't pushing the brakes quite this hard, and I'm like, all right, we're good, because we got to be able to drive this car home.
Sure.
But no, I don't sense any sort of fade or anything.
Are amazing. The driving position is great. The center of gravity in this is just so low too.
Yeah. No, I mean, they really did. It's calculating a car to be a driver's car. And you can run with the AC on because you're dealing with the hybrid battery.
Oh my gosh.
You're not sapping power.
That is the best part of tracking this. It's incredibly comfortable. As you can windows up, AC on.
Yep.
Not robbing power, not overheating the engine.
I am surprised there isn't a little bit of like track tech coming up here, like maybe...
Yeah, in track mode, I think it pretty much locks out the screen, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, you can bring it back on, but it's just not showing you, like, your G-forces or different modes or anything. But, hey, man, you're just here to drive.
Yeah.
I think a lot of those features tend to be pretty gimmicky anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
And, it sounds really loud in here, but from outside, it's really not that loud. I mean, I think a lot of the noise is getting sucked up by those turbos, and it's making its way through.
We were saying there's definitely some noise being piped in.
Yeah.
I can hear it from the front of the car.
But I'm okay with that in this car.
It sounds good, yeah. I mean, the diversity of drive modes in this with how...
Oh, it's great. There's such a bandwidth.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, aside from like a McLaren, this is probably the most daily driver-friendly supercar there is.
Well, for how much engineering there is in this, it does come by itself pretty honestly. Not a lot of gimmicks. brakes. The drive modes are honest. I mean, they call it quiet mode instead of like an eco or something. There's not a lot of big, like, you know, we put this in here just to show you we could do it. It's like we put all our effort into making this a really genuinely good car in as many situations as possible. Here, go enjoy it.
Yeah. Let's see how it does in automatic mode here. Do one more lap and then a cool down. The G-forces are brutal.
Oh yeah.
A little bit of traction control kicking in there.
Yep.
It lets you have a little bit of slip angle, but it kind of feathers you back.
I felt quite comfortable with the slip angle it allowed. I mean, like this corner right here, you could give it a little gas, a little bit of a, you know, right on the full throttle apex, and it's just a little correction, and you're right back on it.
Yeah. Ooh, we got a drifter ahead of us. This is sometimes my favorite part of these track days. Watching them string corners together. This transmission is great too.
It really is. I mean, I know you're shifting manually, but I spend most of it just letting it do its own thing, and the power was always right there. Oh, he's around.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, you know, you're not going to get the visceral feeling of like a GT3 or, you know, something from, you know, even McLaren.
Right.
I haven't driven any of their new cars. You know, the 720S is insane. They're all pretty nuts.
Yeah. But you're at a much lower price point. I mean, this is kind of 911 turbo competitor, or 911, yeah, like a high-end 911 turbo sort of competitor. Maybe not quite with outright speed, but
I would have this over a 911 turbo.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd have this over a GT3,
Right.
but that's just me personally.
Yeah.
It's just a very interesting car to drive and to live with.
Oh yeah. Well, you have to kind of want the attention with it, like a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 in terms of attention. I mean, if you had a 911 GT3, no one's gonna really oogle over that unless they know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, there are plenty of cars that are more showy than this. So you have to kind of like, you have to want people to see you, but also be okay with kind of just being like, yeah, it's just an NSX. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these in person outside of a press affiliated or like a car show type of deal.
Not many. They're head turners. I mean, people don't know what they are.
Exactly.
They don't know what it is.
Yep.
Is it a Corvette? Is it a, you know, what is it? And then you say Acura, and that's kind of cool. I think it's it doesn't have a stigma to it. There's no negative connotations to the NSX.
True. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of making a name for itself as its own car rather than living in its predecessor's image.
Yes, and it follows, you know, it truly follows its heritage in being a next generation sports car, you know?
Something that's not really appreciated until a little later on, and then you're like, oh wow.
Yeah. No, this is one of those cars that, you know, I think it's definitely underappreciated and underrated. If you want something special that you could drive 12 hours in, this will do it. I cannot believe how comfortable it is.
It's kind of the luxury C8 Corvette, if you will. There's a lot of similarities in the cockpit and in the build. I think it's much more attractive than a C8.
Yeah.
I think the C8's a little bit of a caricature of a mid-engine car.
They got the proportions right in this.
Yeah, they really did. The headlights, the taillights, the haunches, everything is designed so well. And the interior is such a nice place to be. I mean, yes, people will tell you the C8 is luxurious inside, but everything feels so premium. I mean,
well, also there's space in here for people, not necessarily your things,
right?
But it's so roomy, you don't feel cramped or, you know, like that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were talking earlier about the steering wheel. It's such a unique design, but it's so good in the hands. It just feels great for daily or tracking.
This is literally one of my favorite steering wheels ergonomically in the car industry. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So let's see, what are the competitors? here, 911 turbo.
911 turbo. I think they put the McLaren 570S
Okay.
as a competitor.
That sounds about right. The only other all-wheel drive car is the 911 turbo.
Yep.
I mean, you really have to think about this as a bargain Porsche 918.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you could say
and then
that.
it seems like incredible value because it uses all that tech and the torque fill, and it's, you know, there's torque vectoring here going on. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
I will say though, if you're familiar with Acura's SH all-wheel drive, this is very in line with that. So on throttle, you get a ton of rotation. Off throttle, it's a little understeery, but that may be the tires too. Well, cool. Thanks for
cool.
riding along, not puking. I'm a terrible passenger, so I commend your...
No, that was good. Good. Definitely a great experience to be out here. You know, big thanks to Acura for lining this up.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.